All right, all right, all right. Hello, everybody. It is Friday, the 30th of December, and this is Friday with the Founders, LFI Call. I am ER Wolf, and I'm one of the co-founders here at LFI.
All right.
And I want to thank you guys for joining us. It is 2 days away from the new year. Can you believe how fast 2022 went by? Hopefully you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish in 2022. And it is my goal and hope that LFI helped play a role in some of your success and will continue to play a role in your success as we move forward into 2023. So with that being said, I wanted to close out the year with a little bit of a big question. Why are you here and what is your why? I think this is an important thing. Guy had mentioned this in one of the networking events, I think 2 Wednesdays ago, by positioning how many of us are really interested in growing our businesses in the year ahead. And if you're interested in growing your business, you're going to raise your hand, right? And I think all of us are interested in that. But then Guy made the comment, how many of us are obsessed with growing our business in the coming year? And I'll tell you right now, I am obsessed with growing all areas of my life in 2023 and beyond. And the thing that Guy brought up behind that is, well, which are you? Are you interested or are you obsessed? Because there is a difference, and it can make a massive difference in the results. And a lot of that is driven by our why. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are you here on this call right now, committing some of your valuable time to this Zoom? Why are you watching this if you're watching this in replay? And what are you looking to get out of it? And most importantly, how are you using that to advance yourself forward? That's a big question. I'm going to tell you my why right now, and hopefully that'll give you an opportunity to think about your why. And if you're new on this call, introduce yourself to everybody in the chat. If you've got your digital business card, throw it in so we can all make sure we're connected as we roll in to the new year. But here's my biggest why, and what I'm obsessed is, I know without a shadow of a doubt that relationships equal revenue. I want to say that again. Relationships equal revenue. I've been saying for the last 52 weeks of the year, right? Our network is our net worth, but we have to work it. And that all boils down to relationship, meeting new people and building relationships, connecting with old people and building relationships, leveraging our existing relationships to find new relationships, and then interacting and working those relationships, finding out who those people are and how we can help them. And understanding that people do business with people that they know, they like, and they trust, right? And if they know, like, and trust you and understand what value you bring, and if you bring more value than you take, you'd be amazed at what would result. And so that's my why. That's my obsession. I am so obsessed with that as the process that I've committed in 2023 to meeting 1,000 new people, meeting 1,000 new people. And I mentioned this on yesterday's roundtable. 1,000 new people might sound like an insurmountable goal, but when you break your big, hairy, audacious goals down to daily activities, you realize that that's 3 to 4 people a day. And if you're participating in like our Wednesday networking event, I met 12 people in an hour. So it really is something that's achievable by most people. And most goals are. We've talked about in the closing weeks of the year, retrospective on our progress for 2022. What objectives did you have? What were you working towards? Did you meet those objectives? And if you did, congratulations. If you didn't, are you acknowledging that you at least made forward progress? Because it is the progression or the journey that's the most important thing. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to open this up for just general conversation. Happy to take any comments, tips, tricks, celebrations, questions, or anything like that. And then what I'd like to do is focus our dialogue more toward the year ahead, and what we're all working towards. And I'll give you more insight on what LFI is working on in 2023. So there is a reactions in the Zoom. If you'd like to join the conversation, feel free to click reactions, raise your hand so that we can sort of queue people up. If not, I can just keep going. So anybody? Hey, Ruben, happy holidays. There's Jeff. I'm going to get you to learn that reactions thing eventually, Jeff. We'll get you raising the hand in there.
Well, you know that I'm not very techie, and I just don't know how all this stuff works.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I'm getting over my frustration. You guys, I did my best to promote ER and Guy and everybody getting on for this last, and I totally had this beautiful long letter. It wasn't a joke. I'm not kidding. You can see I'm frazzled. I've been to the bank, working on getting videos to work So everything that you said, you've challenged me in a couple ways, ER, and I think you've challenged all of us. Number one, your spoke. You have the spoke. My wife and I sat and we talked about that because we both have been through so much. And I was sitting at the kitchen at 4:30, woke up ready to go. My hip wasn't hurting, and I was actually dancing to the LFI music song, and then I kind of screwed up on the text on the Facebook side, but I'm bouncing back. And see, I think that's what we all have to do. And so when you challenge me, ER, both in the physical realm, and I've taken that very seriously, and I realized I got my blood report back. I have a doctor's call today at 2:30, so I'm going to share some blood numbers with him. But, it isn't just what you see on the scale or in the mirror. It's what's on the inside. And that always kind of scares all of us. So I'm going to deal with that. But so I want you guys to do is the spokes that the guys show. I've been following your advice, ER, and going through that with my wife. And then as far as the meeting people, can you clarify to all of us, since so much of what we do is virtual, because I started, as some of you know, that birthday card strategy to do, because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Hey, happy birthday, click, copy, paste. So I've been sending that out, and I've been getting some engagement. And some people actually say, I'm already with LFI. And I'm like, oh, send me your card. Let's swap cards. And then I realized, oh, you were in the networking event, but we were never in the same room.
Yep.
So it is, I just put it out there every day. So at least I'm engaging the people that get it. I'd say, hey, I don't know if they're clicking on it. So I'll say, hey, make sure you tap on Oliver's big ears or whatever. You just make it fun. You don't make it like, spammy, because there's no spam there. It's just basically, hey, here's a happy birthday card, genuine.
Yep.
And I'm giving you a chance to, at no cost, no obligation, no credit card, to try out this same little fun card that I'm sending out. What's the big deal? If they get offended on them, I'm dropping them as friends like a rock. I haven't had that happen yet. Most everybody says, this is awesome. This is so cool. Or, hey, thanks, Jeff, heart. So I'm creating that higher level of engagement. So ER, I'm asking you this. As we go through our friends list through the entire year, it's like a lot of people, they have a challenge to maybe read the Bible in a year, or do this in a year, or I'm losing 30 pounds in a year, or 1,000 new friends in a year.
Yep.
As I'm doing this, I'm fine tuning, I'm filtering out the quote friends that, they're not my style.
Yep.
If you guys don't know me by now, I run one way. If you don't like the way I run, I don't have time. You know what? I got too many people that I care about, and they care about me. And you should all be thinking the same thing. Don't waste your time on the haters, because they're out there.
Yep.
For whatever reason. So the 1,000 people, can you clarify that to us just a little bit, and then I'll shut up, as far as that you personally talk to, maybe engage with, add a friend, have a little conversation through Messenger. Glad to meet you. Looking forward to following your posts this year. That type of thing. Can you clarify?
I'd be happy to. And I think there's a lot to unpack on what we're just talking about, and a lot that can serve and help all of us in the year ahead. The first thing is, let's get granular, guys. That's the biggest thing, especially when you're talking about, if you're on here and you can see Ruben's Wheel of Life, and I've also got the assets pulled up where you guys can download this Wheel of Life form and go through it. And I'm gonna share that right now so I can sort of speak to that. I'll have to pardon my mouse movement. My trackpad died today right before the call, and now I'm using my laptop trackpad. So there are 7 spokes to the wheel of life. There are lots of versions of this. Find the one that works for you. As I mentioned throughout this week, the biggest goal on here is what you perceive as being successful. And I'm going to make the argument to everybody here that I believe that true success is holistic success in multiple areas of your life. If you're only successful in one of these wheels and why it's a wheel, and you have to sort of connect the dots, that's how smoothly you roll. If you're a 10 out of 10 financially right now, kudos to you. Maybe you're making 8 figures a year. But if everything else is a 1 out of 10, you're not rolling down life. You know what I mean? So when I talk about some of these things, like Jeff mentioned, what is your 10 out of 10 physically? You know, is that to lose 30 pounds this year and to be at a certain body fat percentage or a certain weight? Get granular with that. Family, the same thing, or spirituality. You know, Jeff mentioned reading the Bible in a year, you know, or building your belief, your career, your financial. So if I'm looking at 2 spokes when I talk about meeting 1,000 people this year, and then I'll clarify what it means by definition in my mind to meet 1,000 new people, I'm focusing on what I opened up the conversation with, which truly is relationships equal revenue. And I think a lot of people have 2 different viewpoints when it comes to this. Some people, they just want to have a big bucket, pour everybody into the bucket, not have any interaction with them, and then see what the overall conversion is. And I've done that before. And what I came to realize is that typically is around 2, 3, 5. If you're really good in how you're framing things, you could get as high as 10% conversion. Pretty great. But what I've learned on the relationship side is you can get as high as like 90, 95% conversion when you're talking with your relationships, building relationships, and solving problems, adding value to people's lives and helping them. So when I talk about adding 1,000 new or meeting 1,000 new people this year, I'm focused on career and I'm focused on financial, right? And when I say 1,000 new people this year, if I'm looking at my Shuffle account and I'm looking at the contacts in my Shuffle account, I'm going to add 1,000 new names to that. And I'm going to make sure I start the initial conversations with those people. And then we have to realize, especially when it comes to networking in general, that just meeting somebody is the beginning. You have to develop the relationship over time. And we've talked about it ad nauseum on a lot of the calls. I'm a big data person, so I'm looking at accomplishing certain things over time. I'm not going to be able to do it with all 1,000, right? It's more of a filtering process or a sorting process than a convincing process. And it's not about collecting, guys. This is the other thing. When I don't want to go out and just load in 1,000 names and call it done. You know what I mean? It's not collecting, it's connecting, right? And I think all too often people are in the zone of collecting. And they sit there and Jeff, what I love so much is that you're going to filter through your friends list. You're either in alignment with me or you're not. And I'm a big movie buff. I love quotes. I love quotes across the board, business quotes and stuff like that. And there's a quote, if anybody's ever seen a Fight Club, anybody remember that movie, right? It's got Brad Pitt in it. It's got Ed Norton in it. And he talks about meeting people on the airplane. He calls them single serving friends. I think a lot of us have single serving friends, right? We met them once, we talked to them once, and then we've got their name in our list and we think that's the win. That's the start. You got to go through 5 to 12 interactions with somebody for it to result in something. Think about that. So I want to add 1,000 new names to my Shuffle contact list. And I want to start taking the notes and setting the follow-up and creating the relationship loop with those people to see how I can serve them. And my belief is that if I can serve others, I will get what I want by helping others get what they want. So not every one of those 1,000 people is going to be a customer of mine. Maybe they need to know somebody I know and I can connect them with somebody. Maybe they have something that I need and I'm going to buy something from them. I might be their customer. Maybe they know who somebody I need to know and they're going to connect me with somebody else. I have to work those relationships over time, but it starts by creating those relationships. So hopefully that gets us pretty granular on here. I've still got the Wheel of Life up. That's only one segment of the Wheel of Life. We talked about getting granular. Guy brought up that topic this week. I'm going to get granular on every area of the Wheel of Life. Financially, what are my goals in 2023? What does a 10 out of 10 mean for me granularly? Mental, family, physical, personal, career, spiritual. And my goal is to be the best version of myself and successful in all of those areas, which means I have to be committed to working holistically in all of those areas and balancing all of that out. So this Wheel of Life is in the resources section for everybody within their Shuffle affiliate assets. And you'll see all of the assets: sprint planning, network graphics, connection planner, Wheel of Life. And you can grab that and work through it. I just printed off 2 of them because my wife and I are sitting down this weekend as we roll into the first to make sure we're in sync on that stuff. So Jeff, hopefully that clarifies things. I'm going to do that in combination with filtering out my existing lists. And guys, we've all got a lot of lists, if you will, a lot of collecting of contacts that we haven't worked. I've mentioned this on earlier calls. If you open up your phone and you open up your contact list, just your mobile contact list, and scroll all the way to the bottom, you've got a count there. And I'll tell you right now, I've got people in that list from like high school I haven't talked to in 20 years. That's a great opportunity to do an outreach and filter my list. We need to stop collecting people's names. It's not like it's a race to who can get 1 million friends. You know what I mean? It's who can develop relationships. Because the other reality is, and Jeff, I love what you said. We just passed 8 billion people on the globe, around the world, right? There are 8 billion people in existence right now. You do not need to know all 8 billion people in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. In fact, if you read one of the first, I think we read the book last year, but it was The Power of Who. I think it was Bob Boudin or something like that, but it was The Power of Who. Most of us already have people in our existing lists, whether it's your phone list, your email list, your social media profiles across all of those, that can help us get exactly where we want to go. We just have to work them. And I think you need to do that in combination to adding to it, right? I like to think of it, the good analogy is the bathtub. You're filling the bathtub up with water, you're playing in the water, and water is going out. You got to be doing all of those things, and you have to be doing it well. And so you've got to have the right knowledge, skills, and tools to effectively do that. So Jeff, hopefully that answers it. I don't know if you have any follow-up on that.
Just that I promised I would quickly give the 3 bullets of the secrets that I spent an hour writing for everybody.
Sure.
Another comment, I see a lot of great people on the call here, but I can't see their faces. And as a right-brainer, I would love, I don't know, maybe you guys are eating your breakfast or whatever you don't want, but I would love it if more people would turn their video on, because that's the only way I can connect. I see names and I'll forget them. I need to see a face. So anyway, it's just a polite, gentle request that you guys don't be afraid to put your cameras on, man. You throw a hat on and do whatever. But number one, to support ER and Guy and their company, we all are getting their software tool, their support, their training for freaking free, the training and all that. Get to try the card for free. Why the heck, with all those hundreds and a couple thousand people in these different groups, it drives me nuts because I have a group, I have 2 groups that I manage, and it drives me nuts when people that join the group then don't engage. Mm-hmm. Maybe that I see that they're seeing it. I can, because in the group, you can tell, I don't know if you guys know that or not. I did a post in another group lots of people have seen what I wrote. It was really a heartfelt, message. And it'd be nice if somebody just acknowledged that, I read your message. This, hey, look forward to whatever in 23. Engage in the groups, go in there and contribute. And again, I have been sort of what I call over contributing for a damn good reason. I'm trying to make a point because I've got different groups that I actually am in charge of. I'm not in charge of the LFI groups. I'm a contributor. I'm an engager. And so I don't own this company. I just use the software and promote it. So all I'm trying to do is make, in my letter, I kind of did a little bit at the beginning. I won't get into it, but you got to engage in the groups. Turn your notifications on. If you guys don't know how to do this, we'll do a little tutorial. You go to the top, go to the notifications, and you all know that there are different levels of notifications inside of each of your Facebook groups? The ones that you don't really care about or don't want to get notifications all the time, shut them down, shut them off. The ones that you want everything or the special announcements, hit notify. It's not going to kill you. Then oh shoot, that's right, Tuesday with Kathy. I don't want to miss that. But you miss it because you didn't have your notification on. So that's just a technical thing that you can change right this second. Open up a tab, go into the two Facebook groups, LFI Insiders, LFI Affiliates, and make sure, click that little thing that has the notifications. And if you need help, we'll help you. Get those things on full blast. That's number one. And then don't be afraid to just type something. Don't just click a like or whatever. That's better than nothing, I guess. But I can tell you, I've done enough social media training and Facebook for years to tell you nothing helps you better than to show that you are involved and engaged and commenting. I mean, heck, if ER goes out and he does a video, he's not comfortable doing this, Guy does a video, don't just look at it and walk away. At least acknowledge, hey, Guy, good to see you. Glad you're getting some fresh air today. I don't care what you say. But I just feel like this group, you guys are getting so much value from ER and Guy and other leaders in this group that I think it's just a shame if you're not engaging. You're taking away from yourself. Number two, learn, and ER, you said this, learn new skills, learn new knowledge, right? Gain skills, learn knowledge. You can't do that if you don't get into this group, because this is where the experts and the pros that know what that bleep that we're doing can help you advance your game and make more money next year. Okay. Number three, what did show up to these, right? How many are here today? 11 out of thousands of subscribers. You guys, this training that you're getting, that we are getting right now, if you're watching this recording, great. I get it. You're working, whatever. And I said that in my note. But there's so much value in here. Trust me, I buy a lot of trainings. I learn from the best, trust me. And I spend money for coaches. I spend money for training. And you get as good or better coaching here for free than you'll ever get buying paid programs. Do I need to say that again? ER, I'll let you say that. Those are my three quick. And again, I wrote it more elaborately and a little bit this and that. But I just promised that I would share that in the group today. And if I get the letter written, and that happens, you know what, you spend a lot of time. I'll never do that again. Write a long post inside of Facebook.
No, I appreciate that, Jeff. And I appreciate that encouragement for everybody to be engaged. There are often times when Guy and I think maybe we should just be charging for what we're sharing. But that's not our goal, guys. I know there are a lot of people out there. That's how they make their money, right? And they make millions of dollars doing it. I see it all the time, and they're going to sell you information. I used to write ebooks and sell ebooks in the early 2000s, guys. Most of this information, whether you're hearing it from me or whether you're searching for it, it's out there and it's freely available. The value that these people create is they're packaging it together and making it consumable for you. And if you're willing to pay for that, by all means, dive into that. But here's the other reality. Take action on it. Take action on it. I was listening to a guru podcast the other day. Again, I try to eat the meat and spit out the bones and look for the gold nuggets. And I believe success leaves clues and all of these other things. And they even said this directly, right? It's not, I think the individual said, it's not my fault that 95% of the people who buy my course don't take action on it. They've got all the information. I packaged it. I've given it to them, and here's the reality. I'm so passionate and obsessed with you guys being successful. I want you guys to be as successful as possible, that I will freely give out information. I will freely host free events. I will freely give out free business cards because I know it can have an impact. And I remember once that I was an individual who didn't have any money, who was trying to get a start in stuff, and who was willing to commit time, energy, and effort to do that. And I'll give you one example of that, Jeff. And I think this is important because it maybe is a shift in mind frame. And this is part of my story. Okay, for those of you who know, Guy and I are athletes. I was a Division I college football player, and I was in the weight room training one day and had a training accident. And in a split second, I went from being a Division I football player to no longer playing football. That was the reality. I maybe hadn't made that decision yet, or it hadn't set in yet, but that was the reality, right? Did all the rehabs and all these other things and just was never going to play again. And so I transferred schools, and I met up with some friends who were involved in technology. And it was the first time in my life where I didn't have an extracurricular activity. In college football, we used to get up at 5 a.m. and we used to go to bed at like 10, 11 p.m. And outside of doing classes, everything else was lifting, film, practice, training, etc. And you know what they say about idle hands. So I wanted to pour myself into something else. And my friends were working on technology. And I said, yeah, I think that's the future. As Guy says, things aren't getting any less digital. And the sooner you can see that, the sooner you can get on board and participate in that. And I told my friends, I said, I will come and work for you for free, if you will teach me everything that you know. And I had a plan in mind. I said, I'm going to get as much information as possible, and then I'm going to start applying this information. And we were very successful. College kids making 6+ figures, working from computers, living the laptop lifestyle in the early 2000s. That was the aha moment for me. And I said, wow, if more and more people knew that this type of stuff was available, they would participate in it. Whether it generated an extra $500 a month for them, or whether it generated an extra 50,000. To me, it didn't matter. It was a matter that they participated in it. So that's part of the passion and the obsession, is to get the word out there. A lot of us have heard about the U economy. Guys, it's happening and it's coming. I don't know if you've ever heard the statistic, 50% of the jobs that exist today are not going to exist in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, look at how people are reacting to the state of the potential upcoming economy. People are looking for stuff. And here's the reality. There's so much abundance out there. You just have to learn, what Jeff, I was saying, the knowledge, the skills, and get the tools and then apply them. It's no more complex than that. And I think half the time, a lot of individuals, hopefully none of you on this call, but we play the victim. We're waiting for life to happen for us instead of making life happen. Or we're just sitting and having some type of pity party. Going along with what Jeff said, and then Ruben, we'll get to you in a second. Okay? We live in a place where it's all consuming noise. All consuming noise. Noise is coming at us from every single angle on every single device. And we have to learn how to turn off the noise and focus on what we're focused on. You've heard Guy talk about this. Literally, I cannot talk to Guy personally. I'm his business partner. I can't talk to him until 9 a.m. I can message him, but it says he's got do not disturb on. So I will queue up my series of messages because I know that's the first thing Guy's going to read when he plugs back in. But he's got everything turned off. He turns off the noise because he's focused on certain activities for certain elements of his wheel of life. If you're on this call and your phone goes off and you pick it up and look at it, that's a distraction. If you're in a meeting and your phone goes off and you're trying to give attention to the person you're talking to who's a potential customer and you look down, that's disrespectful. That's noise. Like, turn it all off. And so you can be laser focused on that. Here's the other thing. Being active. Guys, motion creates emotion. If you're not active, if you're sitting on here watching us, that's great. I love it. I hope you get some information and I hope you turn around and apply it. That's my goal. Whether I see you or not, to Jeff's point, to be honest, I love seeing people. I think there is this progression here when we're talking about the difference between digital and in real life. When you're in real life, I refer to it now as IRL, and I do some IRL activities. In fact, I'm going to be meeting up with James today. He's coming up from the Springs. We're going to get together. We're going to work on some stuff. I'm going to get him some tap cards. I love in real life. Nothing is going to replace in real life. But also the reality is, for the last 20 years, I've had the pleasure and I don't know, the benefit of being able to be 100% virtual. And that's by design. I can work anywhere I want to. That's location freedom, as long as I have an internet connection. I even told everybody earlier this year I was a beta tester for Starlink because I wanted to be able to go anywhere and still be able to plug in and work. So I think one of those things that then shifts is, if you go digital, the next best thing to in real life, and Jeff, I think you're leaning into this in 2023. It's face-to-face virtually. It's face-to-face virtually. I have, world leaders solve problems over the phone. Think about this. World leaders solve global problems over the phone. You don't have to be in person to be personable and to form relationship. But the closer you can get to that, especially in a virtual environment, the better chance you have of that happening. So I think, Jeff, that's why you say, hey, guys, come on the screen. Show us that you're alive and active, that type of stuff, because it becomes powerful, right? You're not listening to an evergreen webinar of me sitting here spouting out some stuff to you. We are all here together from our own respective locations and connections, participating in this real-time event. It's not in real life where we're all together in a room, but there are some benefits to that. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to drive out of state to meet with Ruben, who's in another state. When we did our networking event, we had people from around the globe: UK, Australia, South America, a lot of the US, coast to coast. I met people from New York to San Diego, all in a 1-hour thing. And because of what I do, and hopefully because of what you do, you can participate in a global economy. That's part of what I think is going to be part of the U economy. It's not just that I'm stuck in one location. She's not on the call right now, but Anna, this is what I love about this. I've gotten to know so many of you over the last year. You guys are like family to me because I learn about you. Jeff's got a cute little dog, right? He just had a hip replacement, right? I was messaging Jeff right after his surgery. I felt bad because I'm like, are we just business people or are we friends? Guys, we're all friends here. That's what relationship is about. And so when you interact, that's what happens. So that's all we're trying to impress upon you. Here's the other thing: knowledge and skills. I didn't know the first thing about computers 20 years ago when I plugged into the internet. The reality is the .com had just busted in 2000. Anybody remember that, right? It was like the .bomb. People were like, I think this internet thing is a fad. It was like 2001 and I'm plugging in, and I'll tell you what, my skill set on a computer was hunt and peck. Anybody still do that, right? When you're on your keyboard? I still half the time I still do that. You don't need to know everything in order to move forward in a process. You just need to acquire some knowledge and some skills, maybe some tools, and then put them into action. It's weird to say this, guys. I've generated millions of dollars through the internet. I had to explain to my parents that money could be made online. They wanted me to be the doctor, the lawyer, the architect. I was going to school for architecture. That's what my undergraduate was focused on. A lot of spatial 3D thinking, I think, carried over into the internet age and how networks work and things like that. And I just started learning. I learned as much as I could, and I applied whatever I was learning. Hey, Scott, thanks for jumping on. Last thing, show up. Show up. Showing up is half the battle. I mean, you can't play the game if you don't show up. So I think these are all important elements, guys, and this is why we work together as a community, because we all have superpowers. You may not realize that you have superpowers. You may not know yet what your superpowers are, but when you find out what those superpowers are, focus in on those and then help others by showing them what your superpowers are. And when we all collectively work together, we can all win. This isn't a sport. Like, life is not a sport where we're competing against each other. A lot of people think like that. It's me versus you. I'm competing against Brenda for something. I don't know what it is, but we're competing. No, it's collaboration. It's partnership. It's working together. I just said it. There's 8 billion people around the globe, guys. Imagine if each one of those people gave you $1. You know what I mean? What are you searching for? What do you need? Is it a monetary number? There's a way to back out of that and then get a strategy to get to that. Okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox here. Ruben, yeah, go ahead, please. Join the conversation.
Boy, ER, that was a whole lot of stuff you told us, I tell you.
There's so much going on in my head, guys. I wish I could just suck it out and put it into your head. You know what I mean?
And again, when you said 1,000, you're going to be plugging in 1,000 here. Okay, here's my take on it. The family is support. We have so much time in a day, okay? And so we got to ask ourselves, family, hey, physically, am I in shape for this? 1,000 people to no, that is crazy. What the simplest thing to do is to manage what you have. If you have someone in your world of LFI, a subscriber, and they're using it, and you know how they can tell you how they're using whatever. Yes. That's your duplication point.
Yeah.
You're only one person here. I'm only one person here, and I have to manage all these factors: my personal, my career, my mental, and all this. It takes time just to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is going to be: I have to come up with a management tool. Now, if I had money, then I would go out and get a virtual assistant. I mean, that's smart to have to put the load on them, like corporations do whatever. But I'm not in there. I can't afford that. So I have to find out a way to manage people that are interested in doing the same thing that I want to do, reinforce their dreams, maybe get them into this circle of life, whatever I need to do so that they know and they trust me that I'm going to take them to a place where they want to go to and then duplicate that. So that's going to be my 2023 goal, is to find another helper. And
I love it. You know, Guy and I, Ruben, if I can just chime in, we always talked about what we called the focus on 4. And when I was getting my MBA, I was in a class, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was called Managing Individuals and Teams. And one of the statistics that I pulled out of the course book that I thought was so fascinating is that if you are a manager managing individuals, you can really only effectively manage 5 to 7 individuals at any one time. So Ruben, to your point, 1,000 people seems massively overwhelming. The first thing I want to say, and Ruben, you highlighted this, we all have to work smarter, not harder. Anybody ever heard that term, right? Work smarter, not harder. When I think about that, I think, okay, I've got a few different objectives. I said 1,000 people equals about 3 to 4 people a day. If I can meet 12 people in 1 hour, that's a lot smarter than scheduling one-on-one coffee meetings with people in my local neighborhood. You know what I mean? I don't have to drive to 12 separate meetings. You know, half the time I've done a coffee meeting, it's not an hour long, right? There's drive time, and then we get to chatting, and then, you know, all of a sudden an hour meeting turns into 3 hours. So when I talk about that, it really is trying to find the most efficient way to accomplish something, and then optimize that process or that system so that you're working as smart as possible, not as hard as possible. You know, a great book that relates to this, guys, I'd encourage everybody. Again, I'm going to be the person that says knowledge, skills, tools over and over again. I'm on my third or fourth book this week. Now, I'm not saying you guys have to be at that pace, but there are techniques that I use to just try and fill information in. I want to consume it so I can figure out the best things that come out of that. The book is 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss. It's an old book, great book, but the insights and nuggets is what you want to look for in that book. You know, he went from being this burnt out entrepreneur, pretty much ready to kill himself because he was so burnt out, to getting his business down to something that he contributed 4 hours a week into it, and it made him millions of dollars, you know? And he's got a lot of stuff that has come as a result of that. You know, feel free to dig into Tim Ferriss on the internet. Again, with any of these gurus out there, guys, my whole thing is you got to eat the meat and spit out the bones. There are we all have bones, right? Nobody wants to consume those, but we all have meat too. The other thing, and you talk about the wheel of life and working smarter, not harder, Ruben, a big thing is time blocking. Guy mentioned this the other day. I talked about the book Peak Performance. Half the battle is getting rest and recovery. If you were doing physical activity, and I see Scott nodding his head because he's in the industry, you know what I mean? If I said, wow, you know, I figure if I work out 100 hours, I'll get to where I'm going. You know what I mean? So I'll just work out all 100 hours straight in a row. 48 hours is 2 days. Okay, you know, maybe a week of straight working. It doesn't work like that. You work out for an hour, then you let your body recover. Then you work out for an hour and you let your body recover. So that's the way I start to think about things, is that time blocking. And we talk about method of operation, right? Daily method of operation. Some of us, almost every single day, my Monday through Friday looks similar, you know, but they're not all the same. But you have a method of operation. If you need to break it down by 7 days, break it down by 7 days and block. We've talked about time blocking. Like Guy is unavailable till 9 a.m. What is he doing? He gets up at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is he doing for those first 4 hours? He's working on his wheel of life items, right? He's working on his physical fitness. He does a workout first thing in the morning. I'm the exact same way. Part of the physical fitness for me is hydration. You know, I drink almost a half a gallon of water before 9 a.m. Right? Everybody's got their water. I mean, I don't know if this is the same, but there's a Colorado lifestyle thing where I've been carrying around an Nalgene bottle since junior high. It's just commonplace here in the outdoor state of Colorado. And my goal is to drink 4 of these a day. Sometimes I'll drink 5 to 6 just without knowing it. Guys, if you've never drinking a gallon of water in your life, trust me, don't jump into it with both feet. Your back teeth will be floating. But if you work up to it, right, 8 ounce glasses, we've all heard some of the statistics on this stuff. You just start to block and fit it in. So that being said, Ruben, again, smarter, not harder. My family time. Guy's spending time with his family. He hits a workout. He's having breakfast with his wife and his little baby girl. You know what I mean? He's not the person that gets up at 5 a.m., starts work until 10 p.m., and hasn't seen his family except for on the weekends. Again, we have to have this balance. Could he get to where he's going? Like, I heard this quote from Elon Musk, and I think it's absolutely true, but I wouldn't prescribe it to everybody. And he said, look, if I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week, and he is obsessed with all the projects that he's working on, right? He's more obsessed on those spokes of his wheel of life than all of the other spokes, because he's a family man. You know, he's got, I think, 12 kids. Yeah, you know what I mean? But here's what he says in business. If I'm working 80 to 100 hours a week and my competitor is working 40 hours a week, that means in 1 year, I'm almost twice as far ahead of that individual because I put in twice as much time. I also heard this stat the other day, like if the average person gets up at 7 a.m. and you get up at 5 a.m., that's just 2 extra hours a day. In the course of a year's time, guys, that's a full month of time. back to you to spend whatever you want on. If you're doing it for work and we're talking about work weeks, that's 3 months of 40-hour work weeks. Think about that. So there's ways to look at things from a different perspective and start to adjust things. But Ruben, to your point, you've got to balance it out and you got to be smart about it. And so there are things where I will do what James Clear talks about. Again, these are all things that I've absorbed from other thought leaders and then just put into application. I do a lot of habit stacking. So if I get up at 4:30 in the morning because I want to gain that extra amount of time, and trust me, it was hard at first, but once you do it through repetition, through volume, my wife noted to me the other day, she goes, "You're waking up before your alarm even goes off." I go, "Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm worried that my alarm might wake you up." So I just get out and what's weird is it's like a minute or two before 4:30. And then I do my workout for physical. I do meditation after that. Like as part of that workout, I'm listening to an audiobook while I'm walking on the treadmill. That's habit stacking. I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. We've got to work harder. No, we've got to work smarter, not harder, right? I mean, don't get into that trap where you become solely obsessed with your career or your finances. I'll close on this, and please, if anybody has anything else to contribute, join the conversation. This is what this is all about. We want to learn from each other. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm like just talking at you guys. And I'm not going to say that I am the end all be all knower of all the things. You know what I mean? I just know what's worked for me, and I think it can work for a lot of other people. But every one of those spokes needs attention. You know, so after I get done with my workout, guys, I'm spending time with the family. I can tell you right now, my daughter has eaten more chocolate chip pancakes at breakfast than probably any kid out there. Why? Because every time she wakes up, she comes marching downstairs and I say, "What do you want for breakfast?" "Chocolate chip pancakes." Great. I'm flipping pancakes and we have what are you going to do today? How was yesterday? Did you sleep okay? That's my passion, right? One of the biggest things for me is a priority. When we talk about what's important in our why, it's family. Nobody who ever died, and there's plenty of research on people on their deathbed type confession things, ever said, "Man, I wish I would have worked a little bit more." Think about that, right? Most of them are like, "I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have done more things that I like, personal things." Make sure you carve out time for yourself. I typically do that on the weekends, and bless my wife, she lets me do them. You know, Saturday morning, hey, it's your time. Whatever you want to do, go do it. If I want to sit in my pajamas and watch shows all day, a movie, okay, that's your time. Fill yourself up personally. If you don't, you're going to feel like you're just doing things for other people. You know, so family, physical, personal. Mental's a huge thing, guys. I think we are in a mental health crisis in America right now. I think there's so many people who aren't focusing on their mental health. I was one of those people probably 3-4 years ago, sitting there going, "Oh, you know what? Nah, that's phooey." You know what I mean? You just got to be tough and pack it down in there or compartmentalize it or whatever. No, you got to deal with it. Whether you had trauma or anything else, you guys maybe don't know my story, but I've had plenty of trauma in my life. And it wasn't until I started dealing with that trauma that it opened up a whole new world. So things like gratitude, meditation. If you need to talk to somebody, go talk to somebody. These are all important things that help with that balance. Guys, the financial side, if anything, money is a result of what you do, not the goal. Think about that, because I think that is so powerful. The other thing I would say on the financial side, and this peeves me to no end, because I have a master's in finance along with a master's in business administration. Most people lack basic financial education. Anybody get that taught in elementary school? I know all I got was a checkbook that we got to write fake checks to our friends with, and then we did a little ledger thing to see if we could balance our checkbook. And that was a time when I was in school and half the kids had daddy's credit card and weren't thinking about what they were buying. Guys, finance, if you want to be good at your finance, it's not how to make money, it's how to keep money. It's how to invest money. It's how to manage money. Check out Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki has a lot of great stuff. Rich Dad, Poor Dad's a great book. You know, Play His Game, Cash Flow. That's a great game. I used to go to these cash flow meetups. We play it. It's like, how do you get out of the rat race and get on the fast track? I think this is great info that any of us, if you want to build the knowledge and the skills so you could put it into application, would be a game changer for most of us. You know, especially when you think about the averages. I'm a numbers guy, as I said. The average person in America right now, and I know we're talking on a global scale, cannot afford an unexpected $500 expense. 65% of Americans, independent of their income bracket, are living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe that is you, maybe it's not. I don't know. But if it is you, I want you to know and have faith that there's a path and a way to get out of that and to change that. I'm a big fan of like Maslow's hierarchy. Anybody who's ever looked that up, go look it up if you don't know about it. Most people are sitting on the first rung, right? We're surviving and we're not thriving. Food, water, shelter, all of those things. You can't get to like self-actualization and all those things at the top unless you're meeting the basic needs. And I think a lot of that just comes from working within the wheel of life, just going through each of those segments and really digging into it. I mean, this is why I'm spouting off about this. I'm opening up my wheel of life over here just so I can continue to look at it. You know, and Ruben's got it up. So anybody on here who wants to look at it, I think it's so important because you should go through and one, where am I at right now? If you are a 10 out of 10 on all of these things, awesome. You're now in the maintenance phase. If you are under a 10, put down what a 10 out of 10 means for you and work hard to close the gap. But do it holistically. Spiritual, there's this thing every time I think about spiritual on the wheel of life that says you better believe in something, otherwise you're fall for anything. I don't care what you believe in. Build your belief. Build your belief. There's a lot of beliefs out there. And I'm not one to judge one over the other. I've got my own beliefs. I can't even say my mine is better than yours. You know what I mean? It's just mine. And we're all different and unique. The career stuff, the personal stuff, the physical stuff, the family stuff. I mean, the biggest thing I have is like, guys, physically and mentally, we only have one of these, right? It got assigned at birth. It's got to last our whole life. It's our body. It's our mind. Got to take care of it. There are a lot of people out there who sacrifice their health, their wellness, their ment for one of the other spokes. So again, I'm going to get off my soapbox here, guys. Anybody, thoughts, questions? Yeah, Jeff, go ahead. Oh. We can't hear you at all. Yeah, you're muted.
I told you I'm not good at tech. I just had a quick, if we can, are we allowed to just quickly change the subject before?
Of course, guys, this is our time together. So go ahead, Jeff.
Just a quick sizing question. In the advanced builder, here we are really completely changing from the circle to the advanced builder.
Yep.
I played with the sizing I'm trying to get it exactly the same as the first template image in there. Can you tell me the numbers again real quick? Do you know them? Because it doesn't.
I don't know them
up
off the top of my head. Okay. I believe when you click on it and you hit change in the image section, it gives you a general size, but also note that deeper down in the edit section, there are size parameters that you can adjust.
Okay.
And then I'll dig into it, Jeff, and we can connect on that. But I think that's a perfect thing to dig into on Tech Tuesday as well.
Yeah, but a lot of good points for us to end the year overall. Glad you were on a rant today.
No, I appreciate you guys just listen to me rant. I do, because I honestly want to see every single one of us on this call be as successful as we want to be. I'm a firm believer there's a process and a system to accomplish that. I've leaned into the book, Zig Ziglar's Born to Win. We've talked about that. That's where this wheel of life starts to come from. You know, so I'd encourage you, plug in. If you're not at where you want to get and you don't have a path to get there, step one is get a path and a plan. Whether it's the one that I'm prescribing or talking about or another one you find from somebody else, just do something. Mike, thank you for joining the conversation. Always a pleasure. Go ahead.
All righty. I just want to say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. And ER, And what you said in the beginning, I learned many, many years ago, people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Mhm.
And I'm telling you, if you don't internalize that, you don't do it. I mean, it's not easy. It's
Mhm.
not the easiest thing you're going to do, because you're always going to get these faster ways thrown at you.
Mhm.
People are going to say, no, you should do this and do that. But I'm telling you, if you don't get that piece in you,
Yeah.
you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Once I got that and I understood the power of the referral, the
Mhm.
power of that mouth, one person telling another person, that slowed everything down for me. Now I know if I find one person that knows, like, and trust me, and they become an evangelist for me, that's hundreds from that one, hundreds from that one, and it goes like that, and it's a whole lot easier for me. That's it. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Snow. Couldn't be more spot on, everybody. I mean, again, this is what I love about this community. And Mike, thank you so much for the validation. Any of us who've gone down a path and you're ahead of somebody else, to just turn around and pour back that into the other people that are following along is so valuable. And what's so crazy to what Mike is saying is I've done both ends of the spectrum, guys. When I started out in technology, to Jeff's point, it was funnels, it was pure automation, it was SEO. And guys, we made millions of dollars. We had millions of eyeballs come to our website. And here's the reality. When I looked at it, it was about a 5% overall conversion. 5%. Do you know what that told me? 95% of the people who saw the stuff that we were putting in front of them didn't do what we were hoping that they would do. To me, that's massively lost opportunity. It was just an automated process. And that's great, until somebody copies your automated process. And then everybody's doing the automated process. And it's like you're always trying to play king of the mountain. But to Mike's point, when you go to the other end of the spectrum, I've had conversations with people, and maybe it's 5, maybe it's 12, maybe it's 1. And I see the conversion happens because we know, like, and trust each other. That process is not a challenging process to filter through. And when I say, like, I'm going to add 1,000 contacts this year, guys, I'm not going to get 100% conversion with 1,000 contacts. And that's not the goal. The goal is to filter through those contacts so that I can find the people that know, like, and trust me, and that I know, like, and trust. And so part of those conversations is that operating as a filtering mechanism. I want to get to yes or no as quickly as possible, as much as the next guy. And the only best path that I see of doing that is talking to somebody. Maybe it's getting on a one-on-one virtual coffee. You know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of cool tools to be able to accomplish that. Find the one that works best for you. Line it up, have a conversation. Maybe it's a phone call. I've had a lot of great phone calls in 2022. I will tell you right now, I want to say like 99.9% of the people I've interacted with, done business with in 2022, I was not in real life with. I was not face to face with. And I think as much as there's a drawback to that, because nothing's going to replace in real life, there was so much additional benefit on the working smarter, not harder. I didn't drive anywhere in 2022. Well, maybe there were a few events that I went to. I even told you guys, I think I saw Guy, my business partner, in real life twice this year. Twice. Yet I talked to him 10 times a day. You know what I mean? Like, that's the power of technology, guys. This isn't the 1600s where we're writing letters to each other and waiting 3 months for getting a response. This is, I can call you, I can text you, I can email you, I can instant message you, I can get on a Zoom call with you, or a FaceTime with you, or a Rocket Call with you, or whatever it is. And we can connect and collaborate and have a conversation. And I think the most important thing of what Mike was just saying, and guys, this is my superpower. I want to look at the system or the information, and I want to tease out the gold nuggets. It's the power of the referral. I've said this a bunch of times. The average person knows how many? 600 other people. And most of us are focused on just selling that one person. If we create a relationship with that one person, to Mike's point, they're going to take us over here, and they're going to take us over here, and they're going to take us over here, and they're going to take us over here. And the 1,000 people that I'm going to meet this year, that opens me up to 600,000 other people. Now, some of those will get filtered out, and that will compress down, but it's almost incomprehensible in my mind to say, wow, I could engage with upwards of 600,000 people just by engaging with people, with the relationship. And that's why I think in 2023, a lot of what LFI is going to focus on really is the network. I think in 2022, we spent a lot of time focused on the marketing, right? What is my content? What does my content look like? How do I build my content? How do I optimize my content? How do I share my content? How do I lay this page out? How do I do all of these things? And it's important. We have to have information to share with people, especially if we want to duplicate ourselves. It's not going to replace the one-on-one. And I think a lot of us wish or hope that it does. It's a supplement, right? I want to connect with people and I want to share information. If I'm not digital yet, I need a platform to get digital. That's why we started with pages, with business cards, but then I need to be able to share that. If you have the page out there, guys, and you're not getting eyeballs to see your page, the page is worthless to you. There have been millions of websites created that nobody's ever visited. Think about that. And there was time, energy, and effort that went into those websites or those web pages, and nobody ever saw it. Maybe the person who built it, maybe the team that was looking at it. So getting it in front of people is the next biggest thing, right? You have to have something to get them in front of, but then you have to get people in front of it. And I think the power of networking and the power of relationship that can come from that and the power of the referral is unbeatable. Unbeatable. Okay, Jeff, you got your hand. Hey, you raised your hand. You're learning technology here, guys. I love it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to give you an example of what you've been preaching to the choir. For those of you who have not been on the Wednesday night, I've hopped on there twice, maybe 3 times. And this last one, it was interesting because met a lot of people. I downloaded their cards into my index, which is a cool thing that I just learned. However, I had immediately an email reach out to me and said, Jeff, based on what you said, I think we should talk. Next thing you know, he sends me his Calendly. I send him my video call link for the time. We met yesterday and we went way over 15 minutes. I can tell you that. It was about an hour and 15 minutes. First 15 minutes, probably getting to know each other, where you're from, this and that. And then I learned this guy, and I won't even share his name, but he was brilliant in one thing. And he's been doing one thing for over 2 decades. And that's all he does. And he didn't know squat about LFI. He didn't know a free cut. I mean, he just kind of bumbled into the group. And I thought he knew. And next thing you know, he's like picking my brain about LFI and Shuffle. Then he pulls up shares his screen, and he's showing me all these keywords and SEO and stuff that I just am not. I mean, I get it. Like, yeah, you get it. And he's trying to help me with my site. And finally he realizes, it wasn't like a great fit for him to serve me at this time. But then I said, I work with one of the biggest and most reputable digital companies in the country right here in Des Moines. And I work with the principal of that company on my company. And he said, would you, and he had a little introductory thing. He spent $4,000 on this app and it's probably fine. But I was like, you could have had a great little LFI card that would do the same thing. It's a refer kind of I would be introducing ER to Brenda because Brenda, I think she's got something that can help ER, right? And that's how he's trying to operate. So we spent an hour and 15 minutes and all this personal relationship. We saw each other. We could feel each other. We talked about football, the end of the year, family, my daughter. Next thing you know, I now have, you talk about the 1,000, but of those 1,000, I think 100 or whatever will be face-to-face, personal, whether it's, digital or whatever, that we're going to probably continue to engage. And I promised him that I would forward his information and have a discussion with my guy that maybe could help, that he could help him. You
Yep.
see how that worked? It was somebody that had nothing to do with LFI now might be brought into this networking mix.
Yep.
And so I just want to share that as that's a testimonial, I guess I want to say, for the networking piece and also the LFI piece. And then he was very enthusiastic, was almost begging for my help, and was so excited about, at first he was poop-on the tap card, but he wouldn't listen. And then finally I got him to listen. Next thing he goes, I want one of those things you were talking about.
Yep.
And so then of course I reached out to you, Ari, but that's the backstory of what I reached out, but it was a fantastic connection. And if you come to those meetings and you're in all these groups and you walk away with one per week, that's 52 new good friends, contacts, associates, whatever, maybe partners, maybe not. We decided it probably wasn't going to work for us personally to do business with his company and my company, but I can maybe help him get connected to other people.
I love that.
And he would reward me for that, by the way.
And one extra tip that I would give to you, if not you, then who, is always a great question. So even though you've made a referral for him, and I'm going to talk just briefly on the power of reciprocation, ask him, hey, I know we don't see each other working together, but who do you know that I need to know? And that's that taproot that opens you up to the 600 other people that he knows. And the power of reciprocation, if you've already made a referral for him into that other organization, there's this almost duty that he's going to feel or she's going to feel, et cetera, to want to reciprocate that help. Think about that. And I'm going to cite a study that I read about that was pretty powerful. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but it had to do with during you go to a restaurant and the server brings you the check and tipping. And they did a study, and the server would come in and they would just give you the check and they measured the tip. The server would come in and, leave a mint on the check and give you it. And then they measured the tip. The server would come in and give you a check, but with 2 mints on it, and they measured the tip. The server would come in, give you a check with a mint on it, walk away, turn around and come back and put a few more mints on the check. Do you guys want to hear what the results of the test was? They actually come to find out that you can get 30% more of a tip if you gave the 1 mint, walked away, and then turned around and came back and put like 1 or 2 more mints on there. It's a psychological thing, but it was like the server was coming back not just with the regular gift, but actually a follow-up gift, and that there was this desire to reciprocate that back as the customer in the form of a bigger tip to that waiter because they felt like they were getting something special just for them. I want us to think about that and how we can apply that even in the own way we serve other people, because that's really what it is. When you give a referral for somebody else, when you make a connection, when you say, you know what, Ruben, based on all the stuff we've been talking about, I know somebody who's been talking about getting a commissioned self-portrait. Is that what you do? You know what I mean? Oh, great. Let me connect you to. I don't know if he's going to want you to do a self-portrait or the family portrait or whatever it is, but I know he's looking for somebody to do that. Let me make the connection. Oh, by the way, Ruben, do you know anybody who could use my service or who I could help as well? Yeah, let me think about that. Again, it's this power of reciprocation. And again, it's more than just, Ruben, you're so good at spinning up the backgrounds. I love it. I love it. It's the power of helping each other. And if we come in with the mentality of these, and I think Jeff highlighted this, it's to give more than you take. To give more than you take. Like, that's been our mission. I try to give more than I take, guys. I don't want to come in here and be like, hey, guys, if you want to join these calls, it's going to be $47.95, $19.97, whatever it is. I'm just going to give it. And it's going to come back to me in multiples. And it has. It always has. And I'm going to encourage you to learn from that as well. How can you help and serve other people? And then just think about that process. Ask them for help as well. Because when you help others, they're more willing to help you. Okay, guys, we're 11 minutes over on our hour, but I am happy to stick around since this is the last call of the year for anybody who wants to hang out, ask any other questions or anything else. Bill, Lisa, Greg, Scott, Kathy, Danon, Mike, Brenda, Ruben, Jeff, anything else anybody has? Comments, questions, celebrations, tips, tricks, anything like that for today, for our last call of 2022?
I think Kathy had a great question in the chat.
Oh, good. I have been running this whole thing, so I have not checked it. Kathy, if you want to come on and ask it, otherwise, is your question, what's going on with LFI in 2023?
That was it.
Awesome. Guys, I truly believe everything in life is a progression forward. So the biggest thing that I think about in 2023 is how we're going to move forward LFI. There's a few things. I truly think that this is going to be or have more emphasis on community. And I think Jeff highlighted that with some of his comments. We want people to come on here and be active and contribute and participate, whether that's joining our live calls, whether that's being more active in the groups that we have, whether that's joining the networking event. I truly think we're going to lean really hard into networking because the power of networking is so powerful for not just LFI, but for each of us as individuals. And I'm going to encourage you guys to participate in that. From a participatory standpoint, I want you guys to invite. I'm going to go out. You know why I took it upon myself to do 1,000 people in 2022 is because I didn't see a lot of other people going out and talking and bringing new people in 2022 or in 2023. So I would encourage you to do that. I know James took that as a call to action. He just jumped on. I talked to him earlier. He was in he couldn't make the call. So the fact that he's on here right now at the tail end, I appreciate it. And thank you for joining. I'm going to see him in just a little bit. But look, get active. Get active. That's the biggest thing. If you're talking about technology, tools, functionality, I mentioned this on an earlier call. We're going to be opening up the alpha testing for some of the V3 functionality that we've been working on. So you're going to want to be active in the community because we'll make announcements as we're looking for people to give feedback and test certain portions of that. We've always had the mission to simplify and scale down technologies, make some micro technologies so that they're accessible to the masses. And that's the most important thing. I mentioned on an earlier call, those fall into 5 categories, guys, 5 categories, okay? First category is the content side that I mentioned earlier. That's your digital business card and any other landing page or marketing content that you're working on. We're on a mission to make it super simple for anybody to do that, right? I always used to say, you don't have to have a computer science degree. You don't need to know how to program. We want you to be able to come in and create that digital presence. So that's going to be a key. And we're continuing to work on simplifying the way you build content on the LFI platform, in Shuffle, etc. The next piece is how you share. And we talked a lot about links, QR codes, campaigns. Man, we've had a ton of discussions on Tuesdays about campaigns where your T equals tracking in your URLs and how data can inform where your traffic is coming from and how you can sort of scale those things up. So that's going to be an important component in 2023. And we've got some secret sauce that's coming in here that I know, like always, we'll do first, and then followers will come along and they'll probably copy what we're doing. And that's great. I mean, we're just trying to make an impact and change things. And imitation is the best form of flattery in my mind. The next piece is NFC technology, guys. Jeff, you were just talking about it, the tap cards. If you're still somebody who does things in real life, and I'm going to do in real life in 2023, that's one of my goals, to get to 1,000. I'm thinking about everywhere I can go to meet those 1,000 people. It's going to be our networking events. It's going to be other networking events. It's going to be virtual networking events. It's going to be offline networking events. If you're doing anything offline, you should have one of these in your pocket. If I open up my wallet right now, it's downstairs. I have 3 of these in my wallet. And I look at the little numbers and I say, that's my business card. That's for this. That's for that. And when the opportunity presents itself, I just pull it out. Hey, let me show you something. Or yeah, let me give you that, and then we're still in this area where this is so novel and new, guys. It's still creating magic for the people who've never seen it before. So NFC is going to be a big component of that. Okay. Then we've got relationship and relationship management, everybody. If you are walking around blindly bumping into people and you're not effectively managing the relationships, that's one big adjustment that you can make in 2023 that I can guarantee will be a game changer in whatever you're doing. Work the relationships. I want to change the statistic, at least for the people within the LFI community. If you're looking at the relationships you have and you haven't had an interaction after collecting their information, it's not going to get you anywhere. You know, if you're looking to have the one conversation and get the customer or get the sale, the statistics are in on that. It doesn't work. Might work one out of 100, but we're trying to maximize the result with the people we have. 5 to 12 interactions. And again, it's a filtering process. This isn't convincing. So if you've had 2 interactions and you realize the relationship isn't there, don't pour into that. If you realize it is, pour into that, but work the relationship. The relationship loop we talk about, very, very simple, guys, but it's got to be a loop. Most people think it's linear. It's a circle, meaning you end every interaction with setting up the next interaction. You log your interactions, and that could be as simple as just taking a photo of the note that you wrote down in your notebook, or logging a quick note, or dictating a quick note. Shuffle supports all of those things. Set the follow-up. Set the follow-up. Set the expectation with the person you're meeting. Ruben, it was so good having a virtual coffee with you. Would it be okay if we connect on Monday? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, great. Now I know, and we've set the expectation. He knows it's Monday. I know it's Monday. I sure as heck better remind myself that it's Monday. Either put it in your calendar, set the reminder in your shuffle, but work the relationship. If you end every interaction with setting the expectation for the next interaction, set your reminder so you don't forget about that, so that you show up or that you know to follow up, and rinse and repeat that, you'll never have a contact fall through the cracks. And you'll continue to foster the relationships over time. Doesn't matter if the person says, follow up with me in 24 hours, or now's not the right time, Brenda, follow up with me in 6 months. Great, no problem. You know how many people I've interacted with where they said the timing was not right, and I called them on the dot 6 months later because I set a reminder, and they were like, man, I didn't even think you'd ever follow up. The fact that you followed up when you said you were going to follow up, man, just increased your credibility by an order of magnitude. And if we're talking about know, like, and trust, man, I've just set myself apart from everybody else. And when I come in there, because I review my notes and do those things, super powerful. Now, Kathy, I know this has been a long-winded answer to your question, but I think these are the things we're going to be working on in 2023. The last thing, the 5th thing, is networking. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. I mentioned this on some of the other calls, and we've got a lot of affiliates and ambassadors here. Guys, business networking. I want you to really think about this. If you're looking for multiple streams of income, if you're looking for the passive residual income, and I'm the biggest believer, and I'll sit down and talk with anybody on why I believe this if you actually want to get into the details. But if you want to go anywhere and achieve location freedom and time freedom and financial freedom, you better start building passive residual income, which just all that is revenue generating assets, guys. And those can be your subscriptions, your referrals, your relationships, all of that type of stuff. You can turn that into these things. Business networking, guys, is an $80 billion with a B, $80 billion a year industry. And every one of us is positioned to capitalize in that just by being a member of LFI. Like, that's the prerequisite. That's it. You know, and I'm thinking about, like, my wife and I were talking about, anybody ever play Monopoly when they were little, right? You get so many houses and you turn it into a hotel, right? And you think about it on a real life perspective. Anybody who's looked at those things, if you got a hotel, you get a certain amount per room, per night. And it's all about occupancy, right? And my wife and I were talking about Airbnb. It's like the quickest way for the little guy to create a unit, a rentable, daily rentable unit. And you cash flow a lot faster than, say, monthly rentals and things like that. And we were talking about that revenue generating asset. And I thought to myself, my goodness, everybody I refer in to LFI is a little revenue generating asset. I used to use the analogy, you're punching oil wells in the ground with your finger, and each one doesn't produce like $1 million a month. They produce a few bucks a month. But the more you can poke it to the ground, the more you get. These are like little rental units. Think about it. They subscribe to LFI to be a part of our community, to learn knowledge, skills, and use the tools to advance themselves forward. And we all get a little tick off of that subscription. That's the abundance mentality that we have. And the more of those that you get, guys, Guy and I are going to get 1 million of those. I'll tell you right now, we will have 1 million of those. The question is, how many of those will come from you and what stake will you have in that? That's going to be a big objective in 2023. And I think the model that we're going to lean into is going to be networking. You can have a free event. You can give somebody a free card. And Jeff, you and I were talking about this. If you bring them into the event through the free card, guess what? They're your referral. Some are going to escalate up, some will not. So what? The ones that escalate up, you now have a revenue generating asset from. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Kathy. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on. I see some other hands up. Greg, your hand was up first, and then James, will get to you. And I don't know if you're driving to Castle Rock right now, brother. I'm going to be a few minutes late, I think.
You all right?
Drive safe. Greg, go ahead.
All right. So you can hear me, right?
We got you 10 by 10.
Awesome. Okay. So I've been looking for the recording on 11/29 of the Tech Tuesday, so that I can go back through, and because that was the training, doing me putting the reviews on my card, and so I haven't been able to do that yet.
Okay.
And I just heard today from my plumber after 2 weeks of not hearing from him. Heard from him today and said he would get back with me after New Year's, and I kind of wanted to try and optimize that card.
Yep. Great.
And then
Go ahead.
one other thing wanted to do, I think I might stop and do a just print out the QR code for him of his card, so that he can have that when I meet him. That would be kind of a good thing to, I mean, it'd be maybe even have it laminated for him so you can put it in his office. And
Cool.
good idea. Okay, awesome. Okay.
I mean, a lot of the ideas that we have, guys, go with your gut. Go with your gut. You know what I mean? I was reading something the other day. Colin Powell said that he only needs about 30% of all the information in order to make an informed decision if he just goes with his gut. Once it gets past 80%, it's like I've got an overabundance of information. So most of the time when we have an idea, guys, and our gut says this is a good idea, just go with it. Greg, anything you can do to help them? Print out the QR code for them. Help them build the card. Do those things, and they're going to be like, "Oh wow, I wasn't expecting you to do that. Thank you." You know what I mean?
Okay.
Go above and beyond. If I can be of support, please always reach out. I've offered myself to everybody free of charge throughout the year. Anybody who's ever reached out, we've gotten on calls, we've gotten on Zooms, we've done one-on-ones, and I'm still surprised that most people don't take advantage of that. That's not my fault. That's not my fault. So I would do that. As for the training, your best bet, reach out to Kathy. I know Kathy has a queue of a lot of those that she's recorded. I know she has the intent to edit those, but I remember, Jeff, something you said about some of the gurus out there. They don't even edit it. They just cut it off mid-sentence and they break it up into some sizable chunk. Let's just get out there and get active. So ask Kathy about that, and hopefully she can just send that to you directly and you can find the information you're looking for. If you do not, again, let me know. We'll jump on a Zoom and I'll help you build the referral card. And then something that came up on our Thursday and our Tuesday, some of the stuff this week, guys, if you've got a great template that you've honed in and you don't mind sharing that template, and there are a lot of people on this call who have done that. They've been so gracious as to put in their time or their talent into this. Like, that's part of the whole movement. This high tide will raise all ships for everybody if we work together. I'm a firm believer of that. So if you have a great template, and I'm going to work on that in 2023. That's another thing. I've got a lot of self-work I'm working on to help not just us here at LFI, Guy and I, but to help the entire LFI community. So my card's getting updated. My templates are getting updated. And I'm going to freely share those things out with you guys. And if you want to clone them, clone them. As Jeff always says, just personalize them. right? I am not you. So the language that I put on my card, the wording, all of that type of stuff, that's me. That's me. If you want to sound like me, clone it verbatim. You know what I mean? But when you go in to build that authentic relationship, trust me, you're going to sound different than your card. But if you go in and personalize your card, you're going to sound the same. And the person who sees that card and the person that connects with you is going to see that they're one and the same. Okay. James, you're up.
All right, I'll be quick and short. I know we've been here a while. This is why you need to have at least 3 hard tap cards with you. ER mentioned it earlier, and we've been talking about these different things. So your different areas out here, we talked about reviews for different locations. I'm making a card of local mom and pop coffee shops. So why am I making that card? Because I'm going to make a review page for each one of them. And Greg, you actually put something I was planning on doing, printing out the QR code, and I'm getting a hard plexiglass stand. I'm going to I make this QR code. If you guys get reviews, sit it on their table and leave it there for them. Now, I say that about the mom and pops, also nonprofits or charities. Each of us has one we think is our favorite we'd like to support. But what if you made a card for them to get direct donations off? And as you're out walking around, you're at a location, like, hey, I love donating. Well, here's a spot to go to. Wait a minute, I got a nonprofit. We take donations. Can we do the same thing? Sure. You guys can get a card and I'll put you on this roster. The cool thing about it is everybody who already has this card will now get the link to your event. And I put all these mom and pop coffee shops on another one. Well, I know I love to get on here. You're actually helping the mom and pop and those nonprofits build their donation charities that they're like, hey, when we have an event, we want to send this nationwide. It's not just one of us. Well, let's get you guys set up with that. So I say all that to say, having multiple tap cards on you is easier than saying, hey, let me go and switch this out. In closing, I actually have my bio card and
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Did anybody, James just went
Here's how
robotic on us.
Here's how the card looks for the free card. Which one are you going to use to promote your business right now with?
Yep.
I want the paid one. Well, click this, get started right now. With the free tab card, they have the
I know there's some
version. They got the
nuggets in
link
there.
aside for the paid one. I don't have to worry about coming back and making them go, ooh, because what we see with our eyes, we buy.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
And
Hopefully you guys
paid
got the
version
gist of
versus
that
the
from
free
James.
version, it'll work. I mean, I just had. Oh, am I going in and out?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah,
But I'm gonna
All right,
paraphrase,
bottom line,
guys.
get
Multiple
more
cards
than-
so that you can be prepared, guys. Multiple cards so that you can be prepared. And think about what you're going to be prepared with and what your offers are going to be if you're using or contributing to helping to build LFI. Obviously, guys, there are people out there who are just customers. We want to help them maximize the use of the tools. So our Tech Tuesday is going to be a thing that we're going to continue on. I'm thinking about breaking that up a little bit and just doing some education to start and then some Q&A and support afterwards. So that way there's always some new things that we can apply. And as we wind down this call, everybody, as we wind down this call, I do want to tell you this one thing, independent of what your plan is moving forward. You've got 2 paths that you can do. And each of these is equally as powerful. You can jump in with both feet, okay? And you can go 100 miles an hour, and you can get as much support as you need in doing that. Just don't burn yourself out, because that's the drawback of jumping in with both feet. Or if you're not the person who jumps in with both feet, you can start small and build upon that. Just remember to progress and be consistent with that. The 2 things that I think are the biggest things for each of us to get success in any area that we're implementing, especially the Wheel of Life, get started, like take action, independent of what that action is. Small action is better than no action at all. Big action will get you there faster. That's the only difference. And then be relentlessly consistent. I like to think of the term discipline. It's building and flexing our discipline muscle so that we are able to do the volume necessary over time to get to where we're going. I used that workout analogy earlier about wanting to work out 100 hours or whatnot. Like my physical fitness goals that Jeff and I are sort of going back and forth on a little bit to hold each other accountable, encourage each other and razz each other. It's incremental improvement over time. I can't do 100 hours all at once. I have to have the discipline to just do a little bit every single day and let that volume stack on top of each other. And I will get there, and I'll get there without being burnt out. It might not get me there as fast as jumping in with both feet and running 100 miles an hour, but I'm 100% confident that I can be consistent in that. So whatever you're working on, get started and be consistent, relentlessly consistent. And think to yourself, what are you obsessed with? What are you passionate about? What is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing right now? Why are you here within LFI? And then turn around and just share that passion and inspire other people, because that's really what it's all about. So guys, as we close down 2022, I want to thank you guys as always. I mean, we were on here for an hour and a half, and I loved every minute of it. And I hope you guys will continue to come on and, to Jeff's point, be engaged in the community and help us spread the word and share this with other people. I want to help as many people as possible. So with that being said, thank you, everybody. Have a happy new year. James, I will see you in, 30 minutes or so.
Take your time. I'm chilling. Take your time.
Can you stick with the Four Horsemen here for a second?
Sure. Happy to stick around, guys.
Just on the networking thing, so we can be clear.
Yep.
Because I get confused. We have the two groups, right? The LFI Insiders group, then the thing, and then I actually sent the link to the event thing out to somebody in Romania, and then to somebody else in another. And then as a funnel guy, I got in there and I started going through, and I clicked the link, and it was going to somebody. I'm not, you probably know who it is. But it's going to someone's free card, and they're getting all of the. So, do you see why would I? We need
to create an invite master template card for the event that we can all individually share out that links back to us. That is on my list of things to do. Please be aware of that. And Jeff, you called it out. Okay. You want to look at that. I mean, that's their promotion that you're resharing. So be aware of that, right? Let's get our own promotions that we can share out that are tied to us, even if it's verbatim the same information. That's on my list of things to do personally. Is I want to create my own personal invite card, like I said earlier. And it's sort of the what would ER do? And then I'll share that out to you guys, and you can take it and run with it, change it up, do whatever, use that as the baseline and go from there. But Jeff, to your point, the two major components, right? Well, is the invite into the registration for the event, but most importantly, so that you guys get credit, and we want to give credit where credit is due. And Jeff, I even told you, if one of the people was your people, have them email support so that we can make sure we adjust who the referral is on that. Make sure you're using your invite link if you're telling them, hey, come to this free networking event and we use this digital business card, get yours for free here, that free link is your link so that you get credit for it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is if it's an LFI event, it should be a generic link. And if somebody bumbles in through that path, I didn't refer them. I met them in the event, and then they appreciate, and then did you see what I'm saying? So that's where I want to be careful, because I totally understand the affiliate marketing space.
Yep. Well, I think the baseline one that I'll put on the master template is going to be the generic link. We call it our corporate account link. And that makes it very easy from a customer support side, that if somebody comes back and says, my friend came to the networking event, they had their card and everything, but I'm not seeing them as a referral of mine, that then it becomes very easy for that person to email us and be like, oh, I was supposed to be under Danon, but I'm not seeing him and he's not seeing me, that we can make that adjustment. Where we start to have trouble and issue is if you send somebody else's link and they sign up underneath somebody else, I have to get to all three people in that sort of love triangle of referral and make sure that we flush it all out. So it's best to just come at your invites using your links and making your cards or using the master template. And we're going to hone that in. I mean, guys, we just kicked off networking in December, and we're sort of scrambling to get I think the last one we just started with the registration. Otherwise, it was just Guy's Zoom link. So
Yeah, it was his Zoom link, but on the invite, it's
Yes.
an individual's card, not anybody else's. And so everybody's flowing through an individual that, and they just think they're coming into an event and they don't.
Yes.
So
And again, this is part of the process that we believe will make it available for a bunch of other people to come in and drive their individual invites. That's the end goal.
Okay.
That person just took charge in putting together theirs, and obviously they're going to put their link on it. So we have to be aware of how these links work and what we need to adjust. And if you ever are going to share something, and we talk about this even in our own card creation, pull it up, take a look at it, click on every link and make sure that it goes to you, especially if you're going to be cloning things. I know we weren't cloning, we were resharing or we were driving to that. So if anything did come about that there's concern about, reach out to us. We want to get it resolved. So the fact that you're bringing it up, we're going to work to get something that everybody can clone and share and use that drives for them.
Okay, but it's an LFI event. I guess I want to be clear. Is it an LFI event or is it
Yes.
an individual's event?
No, LFI event. So this is going to be LFI networking event. The initial test for the first one, the second one, it was like a co-sponsored event between LFI and Influence Builder.
Okay, yeah, and I think
Because
you know
what's
what I'm
going to
thinking.
happen in 2023, and we've already started to talk about this with some individuals, is they want to host their own networking event.
Yeah.
Right? Ruben, you've talked about that, right? Great. We're gonna get all that set up, and it's not going to be a Wednesday night event. It's going to be a when Ruben wants to host the event. Scott's talked about this as well, right? He's got an industry that he belongs to, and he wants to do an industry-specific networking event. Jeff, you've mentioned it. I have a Facebook group that I have not effectively engaged with and managed. Great. We can do a one-off event there.
I've already did that. I don't know if you got my message last night, but yeah. So 158 people are waiting to meet you and Guy. So you got to accept my request to my group.
Awesome.
And we'll do that. But see, that's the difference. That's my group. I
Yes.
would put my link.
Yes.
I guess that's where I want to be
Well,
clear.
and what we will end up doing is we will have global ones where it's all LFI, but we want to make sure that if you are inviting people to that they're coming through you and you're getting credit for it.
Understood.
And that's how we go through, and we don't just have a single event every week that everybody comes to. We have that for everybody, and we have these one-off events for individual regions or locations or industries or groups. And we just want to come in and help facilitate some of that. You know what I mean? And obviously invite them into the community, but make sure that you're getting credit for that. Absolutely. Any other questions? Everybody good to go? Awesome. Everybody have a safe and happy new year. Okay. One more thing. No. When I think about, guys, when I think about New Year's, I'm super excited for it. A lot of people get fired up for New Year's. It's almost like leaving that big event that you go to once a year. Don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the trap of going 1,000 miles an hour out the gate in January and churning out by the end of January like 80% of most people will. Be diligent, be focused, be relentlessly consistent. That's all I can say. And it will take you. I mean, there are things that I did. I quit, a month into the year or 2 months into the year on some resolutions. You know what I mean? Or I made it 5 months and then took a 4-month sabbatical on some things. And that's what I'm gonna. I went through retro on and looked at. I'll give you a primary example. The physical spoke of the Wheel of Life, guys. I told you my treadmill tracks it. I'm at 130 workouts for the year. I mean, that's good. That's good. But then there's a part of ER that says, well, if I was consistent in this, it would be like 365. Right? So that's the retro where I say there's room for improvement. I've got to celebrate the victory, guys. I did 130 workouts this year. Great. But then when I looked at it, because it calendarizes them, there was a gap probably between July or June and about September where I didn't do any workouts. That's not being relentlessly consistent. That's not being disciplined. And what happened during that time, and again, I'm a data guy, I measure everything, and I'm going to start posting some of this stuff because I got this little Fitbit scale, right? I just stand on it every day and it monitors things. I could see it. It went down, down, down in January. I got to June, boop, leveled off, and then it started going back up. And then I got to September, started going down again. What direction do you want to move in? Right? That's in direct correlation to the actions that you're taking. So just be consistent with those actions. Don't burn yourself out the first month of the year. Instead, stack those habits and move forward. Okay, guys. James, I'll see you in a little bit. Take care.